So how recruiters use GitHub to screen candidates? First of all, we'll know about some parameters that they can use for judging a GitHub profile. Now, GitHub is one of the most reliable tools because it gives developers the chance to showcase their work and involve recruiters or clients from all over the world. First of all, one parameter can be, does the candidate update the code constantly? Now, an account which is constantly active shows persistence and commitment. For example, those green squares we saw in the contribution graph, those are your activeness parameters. Does the candidate write clean, commented, and well organized code? Now, we need to write a README that describes accurately the goals of the project we are creating. And we need to use a well organized file naming system that clearly states what the project is about and what are the components of the project. This boosts understanding and efficiency. Now, another parameter can be, can the candidate work in a team? In any serious company, the code will be available to all the employees and each will have the ability to collaborate at the same time on the same project. You'll need to follow certain guidelines to keep the project organized. So we can kind of call it the social network for code, right? Since we're working in a team, we're able to collaborate with other people, talk to other people, connect to other people. It's kind of a social network for code. Now, another parameter can be, has the candidate made contributions to other repositories? Now, not only we need to contribute to our own project, if we contribute to others, it shows that apart from making our own original content, we are able to help out others in solving issues or any problems that they might be facing. So it basically leads to helping and improving together. Now, for boosting your profile with GitHub, there are a lots and lots of things that you can do. First of all, we'll discuss open source. Open source is a term that originally referred to open source software, which is OSS. Open source software is code that is designed to be publicly accessible. Anyone can see, modify, and distribute the code as they see fit. Now, have you ever used one of the following services? Linux operating system, Mozilla browser, Firefox browser, VLC media player, MySQL database, or WordPress. You can type out all the ones that you've used in the chat box. Let's see which ones you've been using. Do we have some responses, Natalie?
Hear me? Okay, yes, we have K saying Firefox, video on Firefox, VLC WordPress, VLC WordPress Firefox. We have
Great.
VLC Firefox. It seems like Firefox is really popular,
Mhm.
as well as WordPress.
Nice. So it seems like people have been using some of those. Okay, great. So these are all examples of highly popular open source software available to the common user. Isn't that surprising? In addition, you'll also find that companies such as Amazon, IBM, Wired Magazine, and Google are all known for the open source technology on their platform. Now, how is open source beneficial? Why should we even use it? First of all, cost. The majority of open source software is distributed freely, making it very cost effective. Unlike the closed proprietary software, that is software which can be paid, OSS can be altered and extended by any developer familiar with the source code. So it saves a lot of cost as you do not need to hire a lot of people to build one feature or to build another feature. It's kind of like a community where anyone can contribute. Security. Now, when the source code is open for anyone to edit, it might sound like a really bad idea, right? That it's open right there and it can be prone to so much vulnerabilities. But actually, the availability of the source code is the greatest advantage of open source technology. Due to the source code being accessible, developers can locate and fix bugs much faster than in commercial products. Third, quality. Now, quality is simply because it has been created by thousands of developers worldwide, all of them with a wide range of experiences, talents, and focuses. How can you leverage open source to boost your profile? First, you can improve your coding skills. No matter how you contribute, whether you help improve documentation, you help fix bugs, or you add new features, you'll be able to use your open source work as an opportunity to flex your coding muscle. Second, you're able to meet people like you. Any open source project, they have large, welcoming communities of developers who hang around for years on that project and they stay up to date with all the latest releases that are happening. So this basically provides a great opportunity to meet others who like code and are passionate about software. Third, you can improve the software you use. Have you been facing an annoying bug in your favorite tool, or you wish that it had a particular feature? Well, good news. If you want to improve the tools you use every day, you can submit contributions to the open source project. How cool is that? You're able to contribute and get those features which you really wanted. That just if I had this feature, my life would be so much easier. You're able to do that. Fourth, you can learn collaboration skills. Now, open source involves a lot of collaboration. When you submit your code, the other person will review and suggest some changes. This will go back and forth a few times until you have created a beautiful piece of code that conforms to the coding standards. Now, we'll talk a bit about the open source programs that are available to you, to students like you. First of all, we have Google Summer of Code. It is the most popular open source program that runs for 3 months. It has been running for so many years and it has been hugely successful. So organizations participate and they encourage students to apply. Students write a proposal stating what they want to work on in a particular organization. And there's also a stipend for them, which ranges from $1,500 to $3,300 depending upon the region. Outreachy. Outreachy invites applicants who are women, both cis and trans men, non-binary people, and genderqueer people to apply. It runs twice a year and has in excess of 30 plus interns per year from 20 plus projects including Debian, Red Hat, OpenStack, and many others. And it also provides a stipend of about $5,500. Now, one more that we'll talk about today is Google's Season of Docs. Now, do you believe that you have great documentation skills and you want to contribute to open source and you feel that maybe it is only for the technical people, maybe I won't be able to contribute. Now, Google Season of Docs, also known as GSOD, is an excellent opportunity for students who love writing documentation. You get to learn a lot from industry experts and also get to enhance your documentation skills. Now, the stipend amount is about $2,400 to $6,600 depending upon the region. There are a lot more such open source programs that I would encourage you all to go and read about, but these three are really great ones that I wanted to discuss today. Great. Now we'll move on to GitHub Readme just to ensure if we have any questions. Natalie, do we have some?
We don't have a question yet, but I do have a question, and that would be, what do you recommend for submitting a successful application on a site like Outreachy, for example? What's your tip? Did you
Uh,
hear
for
me?
the, yeah, for the applications in Outreachy, you want to know?
Mm-hmm. What do you recommend for a successful application?
For a successful application. Okay, so how Outreachy functions is basically there is an initial application period in which you are encouraged to apply. It happens twice a year, so it is divided on the basis of regions. That certain regions can apply in the springtime and certain regions can apply in the fall time. And if you're eligible, for example, in the springtime, you can start with your application. You need to get a letter of recommendation for the same, and it basically says if you will be able to take out the time to contribute during that time. So you'll have to submit your school curriculum. A simple PDF of that will do. And if you're selected in that stage, then you'll go to the next stage, which you'll see all the organizations that are participating in this. So I would recommend contributing in the organizations in those periods, being as communicative with them as possible, taking feedback about how you can improve, because ultimately you need to create a proposal, which is How will you work during that time period in your Outreachy internship? So communication is the best policy. As much as you communicate with the mentors or the open source organizers of that particular organ, that would be great for your application.
Thank you very much,
Does that
Kanika.
solve your question?
Yeah, that's quite useful.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, now moving on to GitHub README. Now, every project README can contain one or more of the following. What does your project do? How to install it? Any example usage? How to set up the dev environment? How to ship a change or license an author info? But what exactly is a README? You can add README to your repository to tell other people why your project is useful, or what can they do with your project and how can they use it. For example, when a person with no previous knowledge about your project visits your profile, he or she does not have any context about what your project is or how to use it. So, from README, they are able to get some understanding about your project. For example, let's have a look at this. Okay, let's have a look. Which README should we look at? Okay, Reddit Player Detector. So as you see here in my README, I'm first of all telling about the project name, what the project is about, a very basic description. Then I have the execution instructions. That is, how can you, as a person on the other end who does not know anything about my project, run the same project on your personal machine? That is what I've described here. Then I have the workflow of how exactly did I build this project? What was my first step, the next step, and along with that, I've added some images to support and explain it better. This is all about a README. Pretty interesting, right? You get to learn so much about it just from documentation. And here you can see I've added another image of the same, which is the name of the project, a short blurb about what your product does, one or two paragraphs along with some images. That images are always great for README. Okay, but there is a secret. You can add a README to tell other people about yourself as well. For example, we have known that we can create repositories which are basically folders for our files, right? For example, this repository is named Reddit Player Detector. But if I create a repository with my own username, which is if I create one named Gunika, I will get a README, personal README for my own profile. So when you do this, you'll see that you found a secret. That's all GitHub is displayed. Let's see where a profile README is. It's somewhere here on the top of your GitHub profile. So I have added a very basic description of myself. I've added all my handles so that anyone, any recruiter who is reaching out to my GitHub profile does not need to go on other platforms like LinkedIn or Twitter, but they can directly get all of my information on the same. All the basic information like my contact details or about who I am, right? So you can add a README to tell other people about yourself. It shows at the top of your profile page, as we just saw. Here are some examples of information that visitors may find interesting, fun, or useful in your profile README. An About Me section, in which you describe your work and your interests, the contributions you are proud of, and some context about those contributions, some guidance for getting help in communities in which you are involved. So here we can see a very interesting README in which the person has added an image right here, very colorful tabs, all about the person, the skills, and the social media handles. So you can format text, include emojis, images, and even GIFs in your profile README. You can make it yours. How cool is that? Okay, now we are coming to another section which is known as GitHub Pages. How many of you have a personal portfolio website? Have you ever thought about making it? Thought that maybe it's too difficult to make, you don't know where to get started. But how many of you were able to build it? How many of you do have that? Or if you do not, even that you can write down in the chat box. Let us know what your status of a personal portfolio website is. Do we have some responses, Natalie?
A couple, we have three, and we have Carolina asking an important question. Can you make good projects with GitHub without paying? I mean, it's free. Is it free?
Yeah, it's completely free.
So it's not necessary at all for you to pay at any moment?
No. For example, I talked about initially that there are two plans. There is one free plan and there is one pro plan. But most of the things that we as students require, even I have been using the free tag since about 4 or 5 years now, and I have never required to get the pro plan. The pro plan usually is taken up by companies who want to manage a lot of employees within the same GitHub page.
Okay.
Anything else? Do we have any responses about personal portfolio websites? Someone was able to make, someone wasn't, got stuck in between.
Yeah, we have a lot of people who don't have a portfolio, so maybe if
Okay,
you guys have more questions about something in that specific, Tunika will be happy to answer those.
great. Okay, that's all I needed to know. Not a lot of people have that. So let's just discuss why we need one. First of all, a website is a way to connect with the world and it's a powerful tool for communication. It's a way to share your work, your interests, and your passions. It's how you can create, build, and control your online image. Plus, the sooner you build your site, the more time you will have to build your online presence and reach the people that you want to reach. It helps you to stand out in a sea of competitors. Just think about it. If 15 people have applied for a particular job, and let's say 5 are equally good, but one particular person took the efforts to create their own personal portfolio website, wouldn't that person stand out? Now, common problems faced. Are you as confused as this kid? Do you need an online portfolio of your work for potential employers to check out, but you do not know how to make a website? Or do you want to create a blog or a business site, but you don't know where to start? Or is it possible that you just don't want to deal with or pay for all the website hosting and domain names and all of such expenses that come up? GitHub Pages to the rescue. Did you know that you can host your personal, organizational, and project sites on GitHub? With GitHub Pages, you can quickly create a site from your GitHub repositories, which is a great way to share all the content related to your repository, like resumes, portfolios, and project blogs. So you get one site per GitHub account and organization, which is there are two types. For example, one for your personal portfolio and one for a GitHub project or repository. So you get only one for the personal portfolio, and you can have as many as you want for the GitHub projects or repositories. And pretty much any repository on GitHub can be turned into a website with the click of two buttons. This is one like of the examples that we can see. While WordPress is a great option for making your personal website, if you're getting started in the tech world, you're going to find that you look more appealing if you know how to use GitHub. So why not build your website on GitHub and host it right from your repository? Wouldn't that be great? Okay, so building a website, there are two ways of getting started with your website. You might be starting completely from scratch, or on the other hand, you might have a website that you have already built, but you do not know how to use GitHub to turn it into a free website. Now, this particular link, which is pages.github.com, has all the guidance you need. It is a great and nicely maintained site. Here you can see how you can create for your personal user or organization site, or how you can create one for your project. Great. So let's just quickly create one for a project, shall we? Let's just follow these steps along. So I'll go to any repository. Okay. Let's say we go to the same repository, which was Reddit flare detector. Okay, I will go to the settings, and right here I'll be able to see pages. As simple as that. I can turn it on for my own. I can choose a theme. Can you see how many theme options we already have? We don't need to do anything at all. No HTML or CSS or all that difficult looking code, but simply creating a website. Now let's choose one particular theme. This seems more like a hackerman theme. This seems pretty cool. Let's select this. Now we can see that we have some kind of a template. Let's change this and make it our own. I'll add the name of my project here, and I'll add some information about it. It helps in filtering Reddit posts based on tags. Let's just add this. And here I can add a lot more. I can add some images, links, GIFs, and whatnot. But let's just keep it simple. I just want to make one simple change right now. And I'm committing my changes. Okay, that is done. Let's see what all the steps were recommended. Choose a theme. We have done that. Go on the settings. That was done. We have picked the theme as well. We have edited the content as well. We have clicked on the commit changes button at the bottom. And we are done. And we will be able to find our page on this particular website by just changing our username and repository name. Is that so? Let's see. gonika.github.com/repository name. So the name of my repository is Reddit flare detector. Let me just copy that quickly and paste it here. Let us see. Oh, we actually do have our own project website already. How quickly did that happen? Like in 2 minutes, I was able to get a personal website for my project that I created. Now just imagine any person, any recruiter, let's say a manager who does not have a lot of technical expertise and won't be able to understand your GitHub repository, what it is all about. I can't understand that. You can simply provide a link to a website like this, which describes whole of your project. Won't that become so easy for him or her? Okay, now let us go to another section of our PPT, which is called Some Initiatives by GitHub. Now, GitHub Education provides you mentorship for programs and technology leadership at your school. You have four things here. First, you can see is a GitHub Student Developer Pack, GitHub Campus Experts, GitHub Campus Advisors, and GitHub Classroom. Now, the first two are particularly targeted at for the students, which is Student Developer Pack and Campus Experts, whereas the remaining two are for the teachers. Now, what is a Student Developer Pack? It gives students free access to the best developer tools in one place so that they can learn by doing. It offers nearly 200,000 in savings available to students for free. For example, you can see here that we have the option of getting Canva for about 12 months for free, which means you can design so many things. You can create logos. You can just, the possibilities are endless. Then there is .tech domains. So for example, I just created this website, right? But I do not like the URL of this. Like I don't want it to be gunika.github.com. I just wanted to be redditflaredetector.tech. I can do that with GitHub Student Developer Pack. I can get the .tech domain for free for 1 year. How nice is that? We are getting things for free just by these students. We get unique links, we get coupon codes, we get GitHub login or direct links to grant access. Now, this particular link is for you all to be able to avail this GitHub Student Developer Pack for free. And since we are conducting a session in association with GitHub Education, so your requests for this will be escalated and you'll get them much sooner than others. And this link will be provided to you as well very soon. Okay, now moving on to GitHub Campus Experts. With this, you can learn the skills to build and grow diverse technology communities on campus with training, mentorship, and support from GitHub. You can you can become a GitHub Campus expert by the following steps. You can first of all get the GitHub Student Developer Pack that we just talked about. This is the first requirement. Then you will complete an application form. The application forms for this are currently open. So we only open it twice a year. First it was open in February. Now they are open right now. You can submit a video resume. If you are selected, if your application is selected, you will be welcomed to the program and you will undergo a training, a complete training which helps you with communication skills, with how to build inclusive communities, and so on and so forth in order to become a great campus expert. Now, I am one of the campus experts, and this is some of the goodies that I got when I became one. This is the site from which you can know all about becoming a GitHub campus expert. Great. Now, some more events by GitHub. GitHub Universe is a conference that happens once a year in which they tell all about what all developments have happened in GitHub in the past year. Then there is Hacktoberfest, which we'll discuss about soon. And there is Game Off, which is for the gamers or people who want to build games, who like to build games, in which a theme is provided in the month of October or November, and you can build games around that. Okay, before I discuss Hacktoberfest, let me just ask if there are any more questions. Natalie?
No, we had Julia asking how do you make a portfolio website, and then you were right after that question talking about it. So they're satisfied, I guess.
As in, how do you, I heard portfolio website, what about it?
Yeah, Julia, before you started talking about portfolio websites, she was asking about how to make one. And then after it, you were talking about it, so she's, I
Okay,
guess, satisfied.
yeah, I hope that resolved your doubt. If it did not, till now, you can ask all of your questions of it. Okay, any other questions?
So we don't have any questions about the presentation at the moment.
Great. So maybe we can take all of the questions at the end. Let me just finish up the presentation quickly, right? Okay. So we'll talk about what a Hacktoberfest is. Now, this event happens in the month of October, and you basically need to submit 5 pull requests. There is something called as pull requests in GitHub, which you do not need to be concerned at the moment. And if you are amongst the first 70,000 developers to do that, you win a t-shirt, right? But it's not just a contest to win a t-shirt. It is actually a month-long celebration of open source. We read about open source right now, right? The goal is to encourage all types of people, from seasoned developers to total newcomers, to get more involved with open source, all the while promoting DigitalOcean's long-standing values of simplicity, community, and love. Now, how do I qualify? 4 eligible pull requests. Earlier it was 5. I think last year it was narrowed down to 4. First of all, you need to register, you make 4 eligible pull requests, and you must be amongst the first 70,000 participants. Okay, to the final section, which is GitHub CoPilot. Now, GitHub CoPilot is a new and a pretty magical tool from GitHub and OpenAI described as your AI programmer. Now, what is it exactly? It is actually a plugin to Visual Studio Code, which is just a code editor in which you write code, which auto generates code for you based on the contents of the current file and your current cursor location. Now, what does that mean? It basically means that I do not need to know how to write code in order to be able to write code. A little ironic, but that is how it is. First of all, I'm just mentioning here what the function name I want. That is, what do I want to do in this particular block? And I'm saying that I want the name, a function, to take in a file name and a text which needs to be written. And I'm writing a doc string or a comment which is write text to file name. So this particular line of code is automatically suggested to us by GitHub Copilot. This is kind of the future of coding or the future of programming in which artificial intelligence is merged into your normal coding activities in order to help you become more efficient. Now, I was very fortunate to be able to get into the alpha testing team of GitHub Copilot. That is, we were among the few developers who were chosen, and we had to keep it super secret before revealing it to everyone that GitHub Copilot is available. And this is the website of GitHub Copilot, copilot.github.com, in which you can read about it. It is more than just an autocomplete. And you can actually find my testimony here, just above Instagram's co-founder. It's very, very cool. And I was one of the fortunate ones to be able to do that. And we are finally done. Phew. And I'm happy that we're at the end because we get to learn more about you and get to listen to your questions. So you can put up all of the questions that you have right now. But just before that, I have a small task for you. You should create your own portfolio website, which will be something like this: your GitHub username .github.io, and I've added the link to a simple, very non-development tutorial for the same, so that you do not need to be worried about writing code in that. And finally, explore. So we have only scratched the surface. There is a lot more to learn in GitHub. And I would really like you all to take away some things from this session and explore all of the more things that are available. So thank you so much. I am Gunika Batra. I am a GitHub field expert and a campus expert. I have been a former research intern at DRDO. I'm in the founding team of a data science startup called DeFi, and I'm an analyst at Ernst& Young. You can reach me out at any of my handles. I keep posting stuff there, something about GitHub, something about data science. So I'm available on Twitter, GitHub, and LinkedIn. Thank you so much. You can put up all of your questions available. Yes, Natalie, all yours.
Yes, while it will take some time to post their questions, I have some as well. So,
Okay,
yeah,
great.
yeah, how can I build my network globally with GitHub? What steps do you suggest I try? Because it could be that I have great projects, but I don't know how to showcase them with GitHub.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you have some projects already, that is already a great start, because building the project is the main and the core thing in order to build up your network. So first of all, if you have some projects, I would definitely recommend you to put up on them on GitHub, because that is now the current platform that all of the recruiters use to know how active you are, how frequently you work on different projects, how much you contribute to other projects, and so on. And most of all, make it very descriptive. Just putting out the projects makes it very hard for the other person to understand those. Adding some Readme, making GitHub Pages, which is the website for those projects, are very helpful for that purpose. So that is all that I would recommend you for that.
Thank you. And for open source projects, I've seen that, for example, Firefox and the ones we were talking about, they're so famous and there are so many developers working on those. So for a beginner, that could be overwhelming. So
Mm-hmm.
what do you recommend for looking for an open source project that, will help you build your network, but also won't be as overwhelming as Firefox?
Yeah, I got it. So yes, it might seem very intimidating because open source projects are huge. There are so many files, and you do not know how to navigate through those where you can contribute. So I would suggest there is something called as issues. Now this is a task for you all to go and explore at home about what GitHub issues are. So every project, which is every organization, puts up some issues that they currently are having that they would like others to come and solve. And along with that, there are also tags in which it can be mentioned beginner. That is, this project is very nice for a beginner to come and jump into and to start solving all the issues. So you can pick up any of the issue that you see might be solvable by you. That is, there might be something called as change the color of the website, change the color theme of the website. That can be an issue. So you can go to that website, that organization's GitHub page, see the issues that are there, see which ones you can solve, and start solving. And not only that, there are the people or the organizers that are there, they are very helpful. And if you get stuck anywhere and you feel that you're not able to get forward, then they're always there to help you.
Thank you. And we have a question for you. So, Akoswa is asking, do we have to submit the homework to you, and when?
No, you do not need to submit the homework to me. This is for you and your benefit only. So, I would recommend you all to, if you missed out anything or you want to learn about the thing again, you think that, okay, maybe I heard something that we can do that. And so this recording will be available to you. You can go through this recording again. And all of the suggestions or the tasks that I mentioned are for you to do at your own homework that you do. So, yes, just go and explore and learn and practice.
Okay, his tempo. He does. Yeah, his tempo. Uh-huh. Do you recommend any projects for beginners who have some basic high school coding experience?
Basic high school coding experience, some projects for beginners. So that completely depends on the language in which you have the coding experience. For example, for each of the different languages, there are a number of projects that you can do. Talking about Python, so in Python itself, you can go into two ways. You can either go into web development, in which you can build websites or complete e-commerce platforms. Just think of replicating Amazon, right? Amazon has so many components. Python, great. So Amazon can have so many components. There is the home page that you can go through. Then when you click on a project page open up in which you can see the details of the projects. Then you can add that to a cart and you can see your cart in which all of the orders or the all of the objects that you selected are shown. So there are so many components to building just a e-commerce website that looks very simple from afar. So that is one project that you can actually pursue. It seems difficult at first, but you can go one by one, building one component at a time, and you'll be able to build the whole thing very soon. So, as a beginner, you can start with creating the homepage. When you learn a little bit more, you can start with creating the product pages of each of the products that when you click on it, it opens up. And maybe when you learn a little bit more, you can create the cart.
Dunika, could you maybe share the link to the project you're talking about to Sonali?
I do not have a link. That was just a suggestion. So, for example, if you even search on Google about beginner projects for Python, you'll get so many websites that have compiled the list for that. And you can actually go through those and you can see which ones you find interesting, which one will look great when you put up in your resume, and you can start building those. And if you're doubtful about how exactly do I build those, there are so many great YouTube tutorials for the same. Just complete for complete beginners, you can follow them along and build websites then and there.
And also, you can always spam her and send her a message on social media
Yeah.
about it. We have another question for you. Should I use Kotlin or Flutter for a data collection application?
Both have their benefits. For example, I think Kotlin is currently more used. Flutter is getting a little bit outdated now, and Kotlin is being used more and more currently. So, but I'm not an Android development person. I wouldn't be great to suggest it. I am more of a data science person, so I'll be happy to suggest frameworks in data science. But from my external peripheral knowledge that all of the data know, I have heard that both of them are as good as they are, and Kotlin I've seen a little bit more usage than Flutter.
Yeah, and I think you will agree it also depends on the project scope and the project requirements because Flutter, I think it's easy for a quick application like
Hmm.
a minimum viable product, but if you want something more serious for a corporation, I think
Okay.
native coding, native development would be better.
Hmm.
So in your case,
Great.
Kunika, what would you recommend for in general for choosing one framework over the other or one language over the other without maybe having knowledge about it just for a reference?
Not in Android. I do not have a lot of knowledge in Android. But in data science, I can recommend things like there is TensorFlow, there is PyTorch, there is Keras. There are so many things that you can explore. And hit me up for any of the data science questions that you may have.